Welcome to our video, The Impact of Climate Change on Global Human Rights. Today, we will explore the intricate relationship between climate change and human rights, focusing on the urgent need for climate justice. As we delve into vital topics such as structural inequalities, socioeconomic disparities, and the implications for future generations, we'll uncover why climate justice is not just an environmental issue but a pressing human rights concern. Join us as we examine the challenges we face and the role organizations like UNDP play in fostering a more equitable future. 1. What is climate justice and why does it matter? Climate justice centers around the idea of fairness in addressing climate change. It highlights the disparities in how different countries and communities are affected by and contribute to the climate crisis. Historically, wealthier nations and industries have emitted the bulk of greenhouse gases, while poorer countries bear the brunt of the consequences. Climate justice seeks to rectify this imbalance by emphasizing equity and human rights in climate policies. It calls for those who have benefited from polluting activities to support vulnerable communities in adapting to and mitigating the impacts of climate change. 2. Structural inequalities affecting climate justice. The impacts of climate change are not felt equally. Within a single country, factors such as race, gender, and socioeconomic status can influence vulnerability to climate change. Women, for instance, often have fewer resources to adapt to environmental changes. Indigenous peoples, who are stewards of a significant portion of the world's biodiversity, face threats to their lands and livelihoods. People with disabilities encounter increased risks to their health and access to basic needs. Structural inequalities exacerbate these challenges, making it imperative to incorporate diverse voices in climate discussions and solutions. 3. Socioeconomic inequalities and climate change. Globally, there is a stark contrast in emissions and the resources available to combat climate change. The wealthiest households contribute significantly to global greenhouse gas emissions, while the poorest half of the population accounts for a fraction of these emissions. Yet, it is often the low-income countries and communities that suffer the most from climate-induced disasters. This disparity calls for a redistribution of resources and responsibilities, ensuring that those most affected receive the support they need. 4. Intergenerational inequity and the climate crisis. Today's youth and future generations face the daunting task of confronting the full force of climate change. Despite having contributed little to the crisis, they will endure its most severe impacts. This intergenerational inequity underscores the importance of centering the rights of children and young people in climate action. Decisions made today will shape their futures, necessitating their active involvement in policy discussions and climate strategies. 5. Why climate justice is crucial. Climate change is intrinsically linked to human rights. The crisis threatens the right to health, safety, and a dignified life. Rising temperatures and extreme weather events lead to health issues, food and water shortages, and displacement. Vulnerable populations, lacking resources to adapt, are disproportionately affected. The education system also suffers, with extreme conditions disrupting learning environments. Addressing these challenges through climate justice ensures that all individuals have the opportunity to thrive in a changing world. 6. Obstacles to achieving climate justice. Numerous barriers hinder the path to climate justice. A significant challenge is the lack of inclusion and transparency in climate negotiations. Marginalized groups, including women, youth, and indigenous peoples, often have limited roles in decision-making processes. Additionally, environmental activists face threats and violence, deterring them from advocating for justice. Financial commitments from wealthy nations remain unmet, leaving vulnerable countries without the necessary support. Overcoming these obstacles requires concerted efforts to ensure equitable participation in resource distribution. 7. UNDP's role in promoting climate justice. The United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, plays a pivotal role in advancing climate justice. By supporting countries in developing climate-friendly policies and laws, UNDP fosters an environment where human rights are prioritized. Initiatives like the Climate Promise focus on inclusive and rights-based approaches to climate action. By involving youth, promoting gender equality, and recognizing indigenous rights, UNDP ensures that diverse perspectives shape climate solutions. Through collaborative efforts, countries worldwide make strides toward a more just and sustainable future. 8. The future of climate justice. The movement for climate justice is gaining momentum. International recognition of the right to a clean and sustainable environment marks a significant step forward. Activists, especially young leaders, are at the forefront of demanding change. Legal actions and global resolutions emphasize the importance of holding governments accountable for their climate responsibilities. As the impacts of climate change become more pronounced, the push for justice will only intensify. Ensuring a future where human rights and environmental sustainability coexist is imperative for the well-being of all.